MMA Minute, Episode 3. Max Holloway defeated Arnold Allen at UFC Fight Night last weekend. We'll go over UFC Fight Night this weekend, Sergey Pavlovich versus Curtis Blaydes, and we'll discuss how Charles Oliveria saves the UFC 289 card. We'll get into the UFC Fight Night right away, starting with the first prediction, Clay Guida versus Rafa Garcia. Clay Guida, like we said, just doesn't have it in the tank. He almost retired this time. Rafa Garcia got the win. Clay Guida took his gloves off, almost did a fake retirement, semi-retirement kind of thing. Dana White wasn't a huge fan of that. In the post-fight press conference, Dana White said that he was sick of how kind of aired Clay Guida out a little bit. It's like, come on, man, he's one of your veteran fighters. Let's ease up on him a little bit, man. If the guy takes it, I thought he was retiring too. I'll say that, but I wouldn't say at the post-fight press conference like Dana did. I wouldn't get all mad at him. Like, Clay Guida's a veteran of the UFC, not the type of guy you should be just like talking like that about at the press conference. Like, show the guy a little bit more respect. But he took his gloves off, wanted to do like a jersey swap almost with Garcia. They traded gloves. But Rafa Garcia got the win like we said he would. Decision. Probably should have added that to the parlay if you want me to be honest with you guys. So Pedro Munoz versus Chris Gutierrez busted the parlay right first fight of the night for us. Unfortunately, it was a close fight. Gutierrez got dropped first round. Wasn't really the same. Pretty defensive the rest of the fight. Fighting a guy like Munoz, you're going to want to be a little bit more offensive on the feet. He wasn't as offensive as he should have been, and Pedro just capitalized on that. And it could have gone either way, 29-28. I definitely could have seen the judges giving it to Gutierrez, but they didn't, so, whatever. Got to start picking better fights on the parlays for you guys, because we got a lot of fights right last weekend. Ion Cutelaba versus Tanner Boser. Cutelaba hadn't won a fight hadn't finished a guy since 2019, September of 2019, which is insane. Tanner Boser, like we said, coming down from heavyweight, his chin didn't really hold up. Kind of an early stoppage, but, the fence held him up, and Cutelaba was definitely hitting him on the chin. And at light heavyweight, those punches do a lot more damage than the smaller weight classes, so pretty justified stoppage. Cutelaba got a nice win. Hadn't had one in a long time, so good for him. Good prediction. Didn't have it on the parlay, but we should have. And then next, we got Azamat versus Dustin Jacoby, another fight we got right. Azamat was an underdog, pretty surprising, considering he was 12-0. Dustin Jacoby, he's good, but he didn't have his best fight against Azamat. Not much to say about that one. We'll move on to Edson Barbosa versus Billy Quarantillo. Edson Barbosa, vintage performance. Good for him. Got performance of the night. Finished Billy in the first round with that knee. I did not see it coming. It stinks because Billy was doing pretty good. He was backing him up, shooting takedowns like he was. It looked early on for the first, 2 minutes of the fight. As long as the fight went on, Billy was doing pretty good until he wasn't, until he got knocked out. Edson had a great finish. Great vintage Barbosa finish, and then actually in the octagon after, it was funny. He was talking to Billy. This was 5 minutes after he knocked him out. He shows him on his coach how he did it. Billy leaned in when he was coming in with his punches. He was leaning his head one side, and then he would shoot for the takedown. And Barbosa just does it exactly plays it out to him, and Billy's just like, dude, get out of my face, bro. I'm not trying to see that. It was funny though. Probably that's it for Billy Quarantillo, if you want me to be honest with you. Billy Quarantillo is probably done from here. That was a tough loss for him. Edson Barbosa, we'll see what he does next. Good win for him. And main event, Max Holloway versus Arnold Allen. Went the way we thought it would. Max Holloway, again, keeps his record, hasn't been dropped once in the UFC. Dropped Arnold Allen. I don't think they credited him with a drop in the 5th round, actually. But he definitely dropped Arnold at the end of the round. Close fight in the 5th, at least. Arnold came out, made it a good fight. But, yeah, pretty much what we thought would happen. Arnold, at least Arnold didn't get Calvin catered, as you would say. He stood his ground at least. He didn't get beat up too bad on the feet. So his next fight will be a good one. We'll see what Max's next fight is. He was talking about fighting Korean Zombie maybe. We all know what would happen if they fought Korean Zombie, would just absolutely get destroyed. And but it seems like the UFC might want to do that. I don't know. Do you guys really want to see that fight? I'm not sure if I do. They might make it. Aren't many guys who Max hasn't beat. But Arnold Allen fought a good fight, but unfortunately just wasn't enough to beat Max Holloway. So we'll move on from that. Charles Oliveria versus Beneil Dariush was supposed to take place at UFC 288, and Charles Oliveria pulled out with an injury. Thank God, blessing in disguise that was, because according to Beneil Dariush, that fight got moved to UFC 289, which we talked about last episode, was Pena versus Nunes 3, which is a great main event that everyone's looking forward to. So they added that fight, which definitely is going to save it. So we'll pull up the UFC 289. Last time I checked the UFC website, they don't have fights listed on the card. They only have Pena versus Nunes right now. But if you check websites like SureDog, they have some announced fights, or some rumored fights, I guess. So UFC 289 on SureDog has Chris Curtis versus Imavov as the co-main event to Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena. Pretty good fight. Also, Stephen Thompson versus Michelle Pereira. That's awesome. Now, that card wasn't the best main event, obviously, but with Charles Oliveira and Beneil Dariush coming over, that probably won't even be the main event, honestly. They'll probably keep it with Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena. But everybody's real knows the real main event is going to be that Charles Benny fight. We'll make a prediction for that next week, but that's definitely going to be an exciting fight. This weekend, guys, we have Curtis Blaydes fighting Sergey Pavlovich on the UFC Fight Night. And right now we'll get into our predictions for that card. Not the best card, to be honest with you guys, a little bit of a dud. But we still have, we will go over the main card, the few fights on it. And starting off with Jeremiah Wells versus Matthew Semmelsberger. This is a tough fight, kind of. Jeremiah Wells had a good showing in his last few performances. He beat, remember that guy Blood Diamond who came over from the UFC, was Izzy's guy. Just a weird dude. Honestly, I knew he wasn't going to do too good. He's pretty old, and came over, and Jeremiah Wells submitted him first round, ended his hype, and then he beat Court McGee by knockout in the first round. Court McGee's a pretty old guy. So this is a tough fight, honestly, to think about, because Matthew Semmelsberger, he lost to Morono, but did good against him. Beat Jake Matthews by decision. Honestly, guys, I'm going to go with Semmelsberger in this fight. At first, I thought I was going to go Jeremiah Wells because I've seen more of his performances. I've seen him win a lot, but I think Semmelsberger might be a good underdog to get to go with. Wells throws a lot of looping punches, Semmelsberger has the reach advantage on him. I think it's a good underdog pick for our parlay that I'll put together later. It's going to be a close fight, but I'm going to say Matthew Semmelsberger finishes him. Here we have, next fight, we have new segment on the show. It's going to be called the Coin Flip Special. It is Yasmin Lucindo versus Brogan Walker. We're going to, everybody get your coins out. We're going to do this for the big fights, fights that everyone's going to be tuning in to see. Just too close of a fight to make a prediction for, So everyone get out your coins for this fight. This is going to be added to every parlay. The coin flip special, we're going to go, let's say Lucindo is heads and Brogan Walker will be tails. We got tails. Brogan Walker wins the first coin flip special. So there you guys go. That will be who wins that fight. We'll go first round TKO. Doesn't matter. We'll see how that one goes. And then moving on, Bobby Green versus Jared Gordon. Here's a good fight. I'm going to say, looking at their last few fights, I know Bobby Green, his last fight, he got dobered, unfortunately, didn't have much of a good, or or really didn't stand much of a chance in that fight. If you guys know Drew Dober, he's kind of got this plan. He's got this. Just look at the guys Drew Dober fights. Lots of finishes in his career. Bobby Green, just the type of, they say styles make fights. Bobby Green was the style that perfect style for Drew Dober to finish. Because Bobby Green's not a guy who gets KO'd in a lot of his fights. So I don't think just because he lost to Drew Dober, that means that his career is necessarily over. Bobby Green's actually, I heard after this fight, he's changing his name officially to his nickname, which is King. So I don't know, he'll be King Green. We know Jared Gordon, his last fight, he beat Paddy Pimblett. So this will be a good fight going into this. It's, like I said, not the best card. We'll see how Jared Gordon does with all the hype now after the Paddy Pimblett win. But didn't finish Paddy. So if you're not finishing Paddy Pimblett, you're probably not the best fighter because Paddy is god-awful. Sorry to you Paddy fans, but he has no stand-up game at all. So moving on, we got Brad Tavares versus Bruno Silva. Another toss-up fight, Brad Tavares. Neither of these guys ranked in the middleweights, and middleweight's a division where, it kind of can go either way. Both coming off losses. Pretty similar reaches. I don't know, man. Another toss-up, not going to pull out the coin for this one. Only one coin flip special perf card, but I don't know. Whatever you guys want, or whoever you guys think is going to win this fight, I'd go with that. But I'm going to say Brad Tavares, but actually, no. I'll go Bruno Silva with this fight, guys. Not going to go too in-depth with it, but middleweight's a pretty tough division to call fights for. They can really go either way. So, gonna stick with the Bruno Silva pick. All right, main event, guys. Sergey Pavlovich versus Curtis Blaydes. It's gonna be, if you guys have been watching the UFC heavyweights for the past few months, Sergey Pavlovich has been on an absolute tear. Let's pull up his resume from his past 5 fights. Pretty sure they're all first-round finishes. So Pavlovich is 17-1, only lost to Alistair Overeem. Alistair Overeem knocked him out, TKO. If you guys remember a little bit of MMA math here, Curtis Blaydes had a brutal finish against Alistair Overeem. If you guys want to, if you guys look that up, that it was a nasty finish by Curtis Blaydes. But I don't think the math is going to work on this one. Last 5 fights after losing to Overeem, Pavlovich's last 5 fights have been all first-round finishes. Beat Marcelo Gome, first-round knockout in 1 minute 6 seconds. Maurice Green, same thing, 2 minutes in the first round. And then he beat Shamil, Russian, 4 minutes into the first round. And then his last 2 fights have been real impressive. In under 2 minutes, he knocked out Derek Lewis and Tai Tuivasa, 2 of the top heavyweights in the division. He's been on a tear, This guy is NATO's worst nightmare. Sergey Pavlovich is one of the scariest Russians in the UFC. I think he's got a good enough takedown defense to defend or to keep off Curtis Blaydes for the fight. Blaydes hasn't been using his takedowns as much recently, but he's still a pretty effective wrestler. I have a pretty hot take on Curtis Blaydes, actually. With obviously John Jones is the champ right now, but I think Curtis Blaydes has one of the best styles in heavyweight. He's one of the best matchups for John Jones. They say styles make fights, and when John Jones was in light heavyweight, a lot of his performances, a lot of his best performances were when he was taking advantage of the stand-up. He was a lot faster than guys on the feet. He had a lot of spinning attacks, just a very tactical striker. As his career progressed, he started utilizing his wrestling a lot more. And then once he moved to heavyweight, obviously we saw in the Cyril Gane fight, he instantly shot for a takedown. So I think in heavyweight, John Jones, his plan, he's going to implement a lot more wrestling into his heavyweight fights. Whereas you look back on his light heavyweight fights, he didn't really rely on that as much as he did. And if you look at the heavyweight division, they don't have the grappling in the heavyweight division is subpar. So Curtis Blaydes is one of the best, or is probably the best grappler in the heavyweight division. So you take away his knockout losses to Derek Lewis and Ngannou, he really he has no other losses. So I think Jon Jones would have a hard time in a fight with Curtis Blaydes. So if Blaydes gets past Pavlovich, he would have a good case to fight, I think, at least. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, but that's my hot take, that Curtis Blaydes could give Jon Jones a good run for his money. It'd be a boring fight, probably be a wrestling fight, or it'd probably be mostly a wrestling match, but I do think Curtis Blaydes gives Jon Jones problems. That being said, I don't think he's going to get past Sergey. I think Sergey is probably the next guy to fight for the title, 17-1. He beat Tuivasa in under a minute. He beat Derek Lewis in under a minute. Two of the top strikers. Like I said, if he does have a good background, I think he's got a Greco background. So Sergey's probably not going to get taken down as easily as some guys might think he would. I think he'll probably get another first-round finish in this fight. Yeah, let's go Sergey Pavlovich with another first-round finish over Curtis Blaydes here. All right, let's put together a parlay for the fight night this weekend. We'll take Sergey Pavlovich. We'll take Bobby Green. We got to take, I think we said Brogan Walker won the coin flip special. So we'll take her for the parlay. And then, yeah, I think that might be it. Actually, Muhammad Usman's fighting Junior Tafa. Maybe throw him in there. Not Muhammad Usman. Maybe Junior Tafa. Probably, maybe if you guys want, throw him in the parlay too. But, yeah, it's kind of a slow card. Not going to be the best weekend, but we also got a pretty good fight in boxing this weekend. We got Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia. Not MMA related, but still huge fight. One thing about boxing is a lot of the big fighters, they really don't fight each other. They wait a long time until someone takes a loss or until one of the guys past their prime. So it's good to see these two guys fighting in their primes. Let me know who you guys have on that one. I'm going to go Tank Davis. We'll see, though. I've seen him have a lot of close fights before. I don't think Ryan Garcia's fought anybody who hits as hard as Tank. I don't think he's fought someone like Tank. He hasn't fought as skilled of a fighter. But we'll see. Just happy both these guys are fighting. So we'll see. This weekend, we got Blaydes Pavlovich. We got Garcia versus Tank. Good weekend of fights. Yeah, that might be it, guys. Yeah, so pretty quick episode this weekend. Not much to talk about. We got the parlay. We discussed UFC 289. We got Charles Oliveria coming in, saving the day. We got the coin flip special in there. We got, we talked about pretty much everything, guys. So, yeah, going to be another quick episode this week. Next week, we'll go over it. We'll go over the fight night, and then what do we got after this? We got Ricky Simon versus Song Yadong. That was supposed to be on this fight, or on this card, I think, but since I think Moicano pulled out versus Sarukian, so they moved Song Yadong and Ricky Simone to the main event. So we'll talk about that card. Another though, not a great card next weekend either, so kind of slow for UFC right now, but just got to get the UFC 288. If we can tough it out until then, we'll have some good fights on our hands. But yeah, so quick episode this week, guys. Thanks for watching, and that's it.